Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at USAA.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome to another Finely Edged production for the Premier League Cricket Club. Connecting players and coaches, clubs and leagues, volunteers and supporters alike, you're in the right place for the best of the 33 ECB Premier Leagues and the 20 NCCA counties, bringing you the stories, the stats and the standout performances that make this game great. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to both our Premier League and NCCA shows so you don't miss any episodes. Now, shall we get stuck in? So welcome everybody to the Premier League Cricket Show, and as the season's about to kick off in the home counties in a few days' time, we're going to do one of those little previews that we've done with a few leagues around the country. And I'm going to ask this question, Hugh. What have the following cricketers got in common? Johnny Bairstow, Josh Butler, Daniel Bell-Drummond, and our guest today, Teddie Casterton.
Can I guess?
Go for it.
They all got pissed and crashed a golf cart.
You might be probably right, but I'm not going to go down that route because I know Teddie quite well. More importantly, ex-Wisden Young Cricketer of the Year, Mr. Teddie Casterton. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's that's an accolade to have, isn't it?
It is. And I've got to ask the question straight away. It is an accolade and it's brilliant to have. How the hell do you end up at High Wycombe having you and the previous year's winner AJ Woodland in the same side? What's going on there?
Yeah, you'd never believe it, would you? I mean, AJ's been around for donkey's years, obviously at Tring, and then we always had a sniff at him. We've always wanted him, and then I've obviously been at Wycombe since I was 14, 13. I mean, I was a schoolboy bully. He played proper cricket at private school. But it's nice accolade to have. You know, AJ's a very good player, and you know, for my name to be next to Johnny Bairstow for the rest of my life in a Wisden almanac, I can't complain.
It's not a bad place to be. It's a long way from where me and Hugh will ever be, isn't it, mate?
Absolutely, that's it. I mean, just touch on. I mean, that season, you know, it's the schoolboy cricketers of the year. You know, there's a lot of serious cricketers playing there, and I think you got something like 1,600 runs in you know, first 11 cricket. I mean, what happened that season? Did it just click and everything came off? Did he get dropped every game, or what was going on?
Yeah, I think it was the season that clicked. I mean, I'd never taken the schoolboy cricket that seriously. I was always very much a Wycombe, and then my last year as captain, I kind of just put my head down, and I mean, yeah, I think I hit 300s in a row, and then it just kept going, and don't forget the kind of 10 wickets I took as well as a ropey off spinner.
He sounds like Gary Pratt now going on about his bloody wickets. There's always wickets for these bats. Anyway, enough of that. More important, we want to preview 2025 Home Counties Premier League, which we've already commented on a couple of pods. We think could be a really pretty interesting one to watch in particular. But last year, it's fair to say it was one of the most interesting, right down to the final day in September, when 3 clubs, or was it 4? I can't remember. Definitely 3 went in with a chance of winning it. And on that final day, Henley, Finchampstead, and your own club, High Wycombe, went into that final day without a shadow with a look in. And it was Henley's win over Finchampstead at the end of the day that won the title. High Wycombe coming third, having won it the previous year. But you guys, you must have been disappointed ended up in third place there.
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, when you're going into a game thinking, we could come out of here first. To come out and on the other side of that, yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on it. The point system didn't do us any favours. But, I was talking with Aston Rowan recently with Max, and I think we discussed that. I don't think anyone really deserved to win it. There were no out-and-out performers that year. But yeah, it was certainly disappointing not to come away with the trophy. And of all people, Henley, because I think now we're neck and neck on joints amount of times won. So yeah, disappointing.
There's the shadow of a certain 9-point penalty we touched on off air. As a few other teams managed to pick up a few penalty points through the season, that's sort of cost you. And I think there's possibly been more controversial penalties in other leagues, so we won't go into the details too much. But yeah, that's got to sting a little bit.
Yeah, an admin error. Our head of senior cricket was very apologetic. We had a lot going on that week in terms of kind of events, and it's not as if we brought in ringers from other clubs. We brought in people who'd been playing second, third team for quite some time, gave them their debut. So for that not to count and to be penalised for it was not ideal.
But is it a moral victory? You're just claiming the title when you swan up to Henley and Finchampstead. You just go, "Wow, we had it in the bag." It's you just say, "This is our title." Really, you just cross off the name at the top, a bit like Homer Simpson did with the old Ned Flanders degree, and then put your name at the top.
It's funny you say that. We do always joke about in the changing room. When everyone says Henley won last year, we do go, "No, we won." So I think it's very much in our dressing room that we were champions. But Henley played some very good cricket that year as well. They ended up with most points, and hats off to them for another victory.
Just to remind the listeners there, Henley top 273 points, Finchampstead second 272 points, High Wycombe third 270.
Got to point out the foibles of the system though, Hugh.
Yeah.
Where we and you are in Derbyshire, this error would not have happened because we have a 10 division system all in one go. It's impossible to be registered outside of the Derbyshire League. But because the home counties Prem has a 1 and 2, and then there's the Thames Valley as a feeder league, similar to the way the Cambridgeshire and Huntingdonshire League feeds over the guys, this is, you were penalised, but it's one of my bees in my bonnet. The system stinks. Full stop. You can't say it, Teddie, but I can. The system stinks. These guys were registered, and they were registered actually for your club, but because they happen to be in a different league, guys, and it's just the non-equality that we've got around the whole country when it comes to Premier Leagues and the rest of the leagues, isn't it?
Rules are rules, but yeah,
as my club found out,
and I'm one for not reading the rules as well. So it's one of them, and it's just one of them.
It is. Hey, let's have a look forward to 2025, though. That's more important. You guys are going to go into 2025 with one expectation. I'm absolutely certain of that, and that is to get back to the top of the league. And it's fair to say that your chairman and the club have done a bit of a job in the winter in terms of acquisitions to help that along the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have signed a few names, to say the least, but we've also lost. We've also lost a few names, and Milesy, Callis, and AJ are three of our top players that have been consistently at the top of the home counties rankings for the last 4 or 5 years. So to lose them was a big sting. Obviously, Milesy to his home club, Elliot's moved back up north, and AJ's decided to go earn lots of money in Dubai. So fair play to them, and obviously the club wish them all the best. But yeah, obviously we've now got quite a few signings, both the Lincoln brothers. We've got Ardy and Harrison Ward as well. So we're very happy to have them on board. I wouldn't say they were the hardest signings in the world. A lot of them just wanted to come play club cricket and wanted to play for us, which is quite nice.
I made a point on Instagram the other week, and I'll stand by this. That top order, Harrison, Hempy, yourself, Dan, Josh, it's got to be one of the hardest hitting top orders in the country. It's not going to be rocket science to work out how you guys are going to play, is it? Yeah,
I mean, we've been known to go hard from ball one, and that's not going to change. You're right, we have a lot of hard hitters, and I think that's what we're going to really kind of go to this season. And, it'll either pay off and we'll be 500 for 3, or we'll be 40 for 8. So, hopefully it's the former. We've got a lot of talent in there. A lot of them got professional experience with Dan and Harrison, and now obviously Ardy as well. So very excited to watch them whack it around the park, to be honest.
would it be fair to say you started the season yourself, Teddy, with a couple of decent innings, in particular when it comes to the friendlies, which after last season, I'm sure you yourself were disappointed with last year. So it's good to get things going, isn't it?
Yeah, last season was a bit of a blur, really. I think one game I got naught and I just never got back. I went from going from, top 10 run scorers in the league the previous season to averaging 5 last year. So, yeah, it was a bit of last year was a bit of a mind boggling year. But to come back pre-season, remember how to hold it back, come up with a 50 early doors and top score for the boys in friendly. It's a nice feeling. Obviously, pre-season runs don't mean an awful lot, but just to get back on ball, spend some time in the middle is it's a lot more than I did last year. So
you are a bit boom and bust when it comes to seasons, though. Just looking back at your stat history. I mean, 2019 averaged close to 50. 2020, I know it's COVID, but most people actually practice during COVID because they're all sat on their arse. You average 12 next year, not super good, and then you're back in the runs, back up to 40, 800 runs, and then back down the hill again. So is that, surely that it means that this year's going to be a gold year. You've had your fallow year, and you're going to cash in.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? I mean, yeah, I've always been known for boom or bust. It tends to be rubbish, good, rubbish, good. I've had that my whole life, really. Probably one of the reasons I never made it past Wisdom School Cricket of the Year. But yeah, fingers crossed. What can I say? My head's in it this year. Last year got married, had loads of stuff going on, changed jobs, moved out of London. So I had a lot going on outside of cricket. And now, obviously, this year, back into focus mode.
Absolutely. Now, just one thing I will point out for somebody who might be listening to this show. Notice that Teddy said that friendly runs don't always count. So Tom Robinson of Bournemouth Cricket Club, if you're listening, I've seen your challenge on Instagram this week that you want to score 1,000 runs this season, Mr. Tom Robinson. He scored 48 at the weekend and he's counting it.
Absolutely
it was bloody
not.
Friendly, wasn't it?
No.
Robbo, do one. We're not taking that. We'll give you a 500 target in the Premier League, in the Southern Prem, but you ain't taking 1,000 all season, including 48 in a friendly. I'm not having that.
Yeah, everyone plays a mixed team.
Driving up playing under 15s cricket to get him over the edge, isn't he?
Exactly.
Back to schoolboy cricket. I'd love to.
Yeah, tell me about it. Hey, let's look around the rest of the league then, Teddy. What have you seen in terms of transfers around the rest of the league where you've gone, oh, that's an interesting one straight away?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Harefield have surprised me. They've made a few interesting signings for a club that have flitted between 1 and 2, Div 1, Div 2. Hopefully, you've got Severin. I mean, I don't know what their connection is with New Zealand, but they've got him. Obviously, it's a shame that Nick Kelly can't come back, but obviously he's playing pro cricket now. I mean, Finch, they've managed to retain Brits.
Yep.
So that will be an outstanding year. And who else was I thinking about? I think that's really it in terms of like big side. Great Brickhill have signed 3 new players, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I was saying this earlier, pre-season, there have been some big signings this year that I haven't really seen before. I think teams are going through a generational shift and a lot of teams are making some big changes. So it'll be interesting to see how this year comes across. But definitely Finch, Great Brickhill will be interesting. And obviously Wycombe have signed loads of players. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they all come off.
As we touched on a couple of other of our previews, one of those words will come out. Ian's been busy collecting transfers from across the country through the winter, and the home counties is definitely right up there in terms of volume.
Yeah.
And big names as well. I mean, just Chris Britts is one of the ones that stands out. That's his 3rd year coming back. Possibly 4th year, is it? Fincham said. I mean, he's a serious player, isn't he? I mean, what's he like to play against?
He's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, I think it was with Wycombe, nobody had scored 100 against us for a couple of years, and then suddenly he just blows us out of the water. He is a serious talent with the bat, and he even bowls a bit too. We played them in 2 friendlies on Saturday, and in that first game he looked like he's just picked up the bat after the season. Didn't even realise, like, he would never have looked like he'd had a winter off. So yeah, he's looking strong, good bowler. He'll be good for Finch. It'll be interesting to see if he leaves early doors, will they decline like they did last year? I mean, they were they led the league by a good 40
Yeah.
more points. And then he left and slowly it started to diminish. Now, there's no shade towards Finch, they're a great side, but he was a key part of their team.
Definitely. There was other signing I picked up on, which I happened quite early on in the winter, and it's one of my favourite players to watch. George Tate coming from Oxford across to Banbury. Now, there's a young talent to say the least, Teddy, isn't there?
Well, yeah, obviously he's playing in the Challenger stuff. He captained last year against Zimbabwe and scored a ton. So he is a serious talent with ball and with bat. Yeah, he does it all really. I thought he might have gone over to Banbury to skip. They've decided not to, haven't they? They've gone with Coyne, I believe. But yeah, he's serious talent. He'll bolster that side. And Banbury have been an interesting one where they used to be right at the top, and now they've kind of gone down to that fourth, fifth role. But I reckon they'll be right back up there in contention this year.
And they are one of the clubs who brought someone in from outside. It's probably a move because of work or something when they brought Rakim Arjun in from Harrogate as well. Somebody who's got Northern Premier League experience to come all the way down. That's always an interesting one for us to look at and see the difference between the two, isn't it?
Well, it's always interesting to see how different leagues play. Obviously, I've only ever played in the home counties, but maybe I'm biased, but I reckon it's one of the stronger leagues out there. It's interesting to see how he'll adapt coming into the home carries, and it's always the same with with players with teams that come up from Div 2 to Div 1. There's always a difference in how they play. Not typically with standard, it's just almost like a different game. In how things are played. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see with all these signings how people go about and how much they'll rely on new signings versus their youth.
Within your club itself, it's an obvious question. Who are the ones you're going to say, just keep an eye on what they do this year? Because there's some great signings at your club, but who would you say to listeners, keep an eye on that one in particular?
I'm really interested to see how Josh Lincoln comes across. He, I think, has been underutilized with the ball. In past, and coming in as an all-rounder, I think he'll do some serious damage. He's already shown his brute force of the bat, and his bowls a real heavy ball with the bowling side. So I'm really interested to see how he goes. But also on the other end of that, Billy Dodds, one of our youths, he's kind of coming in bat 3 this year, and it'll be really interesting to see how he goes in kind of his first full year as a first teamer. One of the ice, and also actually, now that I say it, Ethan Barksfield, who was named Home Counties Premier Cricket League upcoming youth last year. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes along too. Good
mix of experience, signings, and some youngsters coming through there. That's a really quite exciting side to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's what we wanted to have. I mean, I know all the headlines will suggest that we've brought in a lot of players, but we are also kind of really investing in our youth. We're training a lot. Obviously, Dan Lincoln's been brought in, obviously, as a very experienced player, but also as that mentor role for those juniors. He'll be critical for that, I believe. And he's done that with the Berkshire lads, with the Challengers lads, with every club he's played at. So it'll be really nice to see how he kind of gets on with the juniors to see them through that pathway.
Absolutely.
Just looking at the last year, Spin, unsurprisingly, was the go-to, the top 3 wicket takers, but a few seamers dotted around. Are you expecting Spin to be more prevalent this year just due to the nature of the pitches and the weather?
Yeah, I think so. Connor Haddo has always been arguably one of the best non-pro bowlers. He will win us games of cricket without a shadow of a doubt. And he's proved it last year, really came into his own. Obviously, Max Utley is, really great off spinner. And Ethan leg spinner. We've invested in our spin. And like you said, I think we don't have an out and out quick, other than Archie Dodds, who has been bowling some rapid heat. He was clocked at 85 at UCC.
Okay.
UCC at Oxford uni stuff. So he's been bowling some heat. But other than that, after losing Tom, we never really had an out and out quick. So I think we will be relying on spin this year, but we do have some good other options in terms of seam.
Is Conor Haddo going to get past 4 wickets more often than he did last year.
He's allergic to buying a jug. The bloke has so many forfeits to his name. He's a fraud. I think he gets 4 and he looks at his bank balance and goes, oh, I might do a few more one-to-ones instead. So he's allergic to a FIFA, but hopefully he'll claim a few this year.
Yeah, for those who haven't heard the episode we had with Connor last year and with Cameron Hemp, we did make that point. And I'm looking at his stats now. His all-round stats: 723 wickets on play cricket, phenomenal, with an economy rate of 3.7 and an average of 20, but only 24 5-wicket hauls. Yeah. There's a lot of us out there would say that's not bad still, but yeah, you're right. He doesn't tend to go past 4 very often, and he leaves it to the batters to hit the runs and get the 50.
Pay for the beer.
Yeah, you got it. That's it.
To be fair to the bloke, he has become one of the most selfless cricketers on the field. It's all about the team with him at the moment. He puts in so much work with us off the field. Obviously, we did as much as I hate to say it, we had to do our 5K a week pre-season at Wycombe, and if you didn't do your 5K, everyone then had to do an extra K. So I think we got up to about 10K a week that we had to complete. But we're fit on the large hole for the season now, and that's all down to Connor Links and obviously Cam. But yeah, Connor he's a good player to have in the team.
Definitely. Looking around the rest of the league, give us some names around the rest of the league that you'd think, guys, you might not have heard this one. Who should we be looking out for when we're looking out on the scores week in, week out?
It's a good question. I mean, whose name? I kept saying, I can't remember his first name, but Kra? Is that how you say it? For Finch? He always kept kind of popping up on the names. I'd like to see George Harvey come up a lot for Jarrod's Cross. Mm-hmm. Obviously, being a Bucks player, just being signed as a wicketkeeper batter for GX, and I found out that he'll be taking the gloves, and Chris Marrow will be in the outfield, which is an interesting choice. So I think he'll definitely be one to kind of look out for. Really interesting to see how Slough's new wicketkeeper batter gets on. Brought in obviously over from India, but it really it's an interesting league. The big names have been the big names for quite some time. Mm-hmm. And I'd be interested to see if any of kind of the youth really kind of take it by the horns and has it, stamps their name on the league. I'm actually really interested to see how Towell gets on at Bicester in North Oxford. Mm-hmm. When I had a conversation with him, he was very much surprised by it. He's quite a quiet lad, but first year as a skipper, it'll be interesting to see if he kind of stamps his name down. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it really. In terms of the names, not really kind of. I'd love to see a junior really just stamp their name.
Well, I was going to say that you mentioned it already. That we're always at that end of that sort of, or coming towards a generational change coming in the home counties, and it tends to happen at almost every league's different. No one all changes at the same. But have you just got this bunch of late teens, early 20s starting to come through, whilst one or two of the 30-plus boys are starting to see the end, not the end of their career, but can you see that change happening?
Yeah, I mean, look, it happened to Henley a few years ago, didn't it? They won ridiculous amount of times on the trot, and then suddenly...
Very young side last year.
And a very young side last year. I mean, they still won the league, which helps. But yeah, I mean, a lot of teams are going through generational shifts, as it happens with cricket. And it'll be interesting to see whether the brand of cricket changes. I did a lot of interviews with a lot of the captains, and the biggest question I had is, are you going to block out for the draw if the challenge presents itself? A lot of the younger captains were like, absolutely not. They're going to go for it no matter what. Whereas the older ones were like, a draw is a draw, it's points. So it'll be really interesting to see if the brand of cricket changes and it becomes more aggressive. Yeah, it'll just be interesting to see. I wonder how long the Red Bull stuff will obviously last forever, but I wonder how long until the question gets posed of just doing 50 overs throughout the year and changing it up. But yeah, interesting.
What would be the answer to that if you asked it now?
If personally or as a league?
Have you got an inkling by other captains and people like that?
I think Red Bull will always stay, as much as I hate it. It will always. It's an added challenge, isn't it? I think there needs to be a rule change. Mm-hmm. I think that the bat first or bowler get extra points for extra wickets. That malarkey, I think it encourages people perhaps to fend out for the draw. That needs to change, from my own personal opinion. But yeah, I think it's an added, complexity to cricket that I think really shows teams up, and it allows some teams to really progress and others to fall down. I mean, any team could be a dominant 50 over team, especially I think 2026 we're going to white ball. So it'll be, any team could really just harrow in on that and be dominant. But everyone says it. Games are won, or the season is won and lost in those 9 Red Bull games that we got.
Interesting. And with Harefield and Stoke Green coming up, what do you think of their chances?
Obviously, I mentioned Harefield earlier. I think they've got a good chance. They've yo-yoed about for some years, and I think it's a bit of a rogue shout from me to say they could be up there. But I think because they've yo-yoed so much, I think they're just tired of yo-yoing, so they have to cement themselves. Stoke Green, I haven't heard a lot about them, obviously doing all the news and stuff for home counties, and I haven't really heard much about Stoke Green. I think they're trying to keep themselves under wraps, which fair play to them, but we'll see how they get on early doors. I think they'll do well. I'd be surprised if they went up and went back down. I think, they'll cement themselves mid-year.
Yeah, I mean, previous year we had 2 teams come up and they both stayed up in, was it Oxford Downs and Brickhill, was it?
Yeah, Great Brickhill, Oxford Downs.
Yeah, stayed up, and they Datchet went down, which is a little bit of a surprise. Datchet been a strong team for the last 3 or 4 years. So was that surprising to see them go down? It was very tight at the bottom there.
Yeah, look, Datchet are really interesting. They were a team full of some incredible individuals. I just don't think they managed to make it work as a group. And you have that with teams, and that's absolutely fair enough. I think obviously now they've signed Lambert as their DOC. I wouldn't be surprised to see them straight back up next year.
And challenging the year after.
And challenge the year after. I mean, he did it with Berkshire, Lambo, and he is a serious coach, and I think he's got a vision for it. So I would be surprised not to see them back up next year. But yeah, they're a serious talent. Oxford Downs come up and really kind of showed us why they were there. I was really impressed with them last year, went about their craft nicely. They've got the roguest live stream setup going in the league. But they've
got the best live stream setup in the country, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's not ideal though when you snick off and they tell you how bad you are as a batter, and it's like, great.
I have invited myself to a game between Oxford Downs and High Wycombe later on in the season, hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. But yeah, I love their commentary setup, and Great Brickhill were a solid team. They've got some serious players there. I haven't heard much about them this year. I think they signed 3 new players, so it'll be interesting to see who they've lost. But yeah, I mean, both teams came up, stayed up, and I think that's the first challenge really for any team that comes up, is to really cement yourself as a team in that league, and they did just that.
Yeah, before we close off the conversation and look for some quick questions for this year, how surprising was it to see Wokingham go down, but not just go down, but go down by so many points last season? Because the results just never came for them, did they, whatsoever?
No, I think that we were looking at the scorecards every morning, and I think sometimes they even has like some brilliant starts, and then we were like, they'll win this one. And they just never did. It was probably the roguest season I've ever seen of any club. There must be some sort of accolade for something going on there. But yeah, it was a surprising year. They've always been a solid team in the Prem. Obviously, they made their way up a few years back and kind of stayed up. But I think also they've lost a few players. I'm not sure if Conrad Lauf's playing anymore. Conrad Martucci is playing anymore. But yeah, I think they've managed to retain quite a lot of their players, though, which is key. Obviously, Tom Hampton at the helm now, ex-Bucks captain, so he'll do really well to, get some foundations in place and see them back up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on in Division 2. But I don't think they've lost anyone, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them back up.
Absolutely. Hey, let's close things off with the questions we've asked everyone on the preview, and it's the most difficult ones because we want them quick. We don't want you thinking about this, Teddie Casterton. Quick fire, top 3 title contenders.
Wycombe, Rowan and Henley. Same every year.
Okay. Dark horses?
Dark horses. Downs and Harefield.
Okay. Top run scorer in the league this season?
Oh, that's a good one. Brits.
Could depend on how many games people play, obviously.
Yeah, I think if Brits plays all of them, he's going to be up there, isn't he?
Okay, I know the answer to this one. Top wicket taker in the league this year?
Connor Haddo.
And your bold prediction of the season, is it about you, High Wycombe, or just general?
What do you mean by that? Bold prediction?
Well,
Who's going to win?
How many runs are you going to score?
Oh, right, okay.
Could someone surprise you? Whatever. It's anything you'd think of that's, nobody else might have thought of.
I'm going to cement it here now, and I'll have the mick taken out on the field, but I'm going to average 45 this year. That's my goal.
That is the sort of thing we like to clip up, Mr. Teddie Casterton.
Is that with the ball?
Wow, thanks, Hugh. I appreciate that. I reckon I'm one of the only players in my team to not have a home counties over, but, we'll leave that there.
Well, maybe that's the prediction for this year, is because I'm going to get a home counties wicket.
I think Wycombe have got to win the league, and I reckon we might take it by storm. Sorry, other clubs, no disrespect, but we've signed a lot of players and we've got some great youth in our ranks. Mm-hmm. So I'm backing them, our youth, all the way. And bold predictions.
No penalty points.
No penalty points. No, well, I hope not.
That'd be a bold prediction in any league.
yeah. To be fair, looking at home counties, they're fairly liberally spread around the league, so you're not the only ones.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe just like a rogue team that haven't made any signings just to go down next year.
Could happen. Hey, final thoughts. Home counties for us, we watched it very closely last year because it was close at the end.
Brilliant.
It was one of that, to have the top 4 clubs playing each other on the final day of the season. I think there was only the Whipple that came close to that, where there were 5 clubs on the last day of the season that could physically win it. Let's be brutal. You don't want it to go down to the last day of the season, do you?
No, absolutely not. I think if we had it our way, we'll do what Harefield did in Division 2 and we'll win with 3-4 weeks to go and have some fun in the last 3 weeks. But, the competition stuff, can't put it past that. It'll be some hard cricket played this year. But we hope to take the win.
Yeah, and I can ask this question slightly differently to you, Teddie. Where can anybody who's listening or watching this at all, where can they follow the progress of High Wycombe and what's going on in the league?
You can either head to the Premier League Cricket Club, or you can head to homecountypremiercricketleague.co.uk. We've got a brand new website with a newsletter with some exclusive discounts if you want to get in there, and some exclusive content. So obviously we're doing full-length interviews with players, with coaches, with staff, only available to newsletter subscribers. T&Cs occur. See what I did there? Love that.
Very good.
But yeah, head to Home County Premier Cricket League, brand new website, and social media. We're big on TikTok and Instagram at the moment.
Absolutely. I'm sure Teddie won't mind me saying that it is a fabulous website and we know exactly where it got done. And anybody else wants a new website for their league, speak to me, Ian Livo,
Shameless.
or Casterton, because we know exactly where it was done.
And we'll make you money back in return.
There you go. We've never said that on the pod yet, have we, Hugh? Not in the slightest.
Yeah, we might have to clip that one out.
This is 30-minute QVC advertorial.
Yes, something like that, definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, great catching up, Teddie, and talking cricket for me and you for a change, proper cricket rather than marketing and everything else that we talk about.
Yeah.
It will be a good league to keep an eye on. It all kicks off on Saturday, May the 10th. And, everything by then, I think, off the top of my head, every single Premier League in the country will be up and running, bar one. Can you name that one, Hugh Newsom, that will not be up and running
on the 10th?
May the 10th. Yep, there is one league.
Cornwall.
No. He's not here. He will be on our normally week-to-week recordings. It's the bloody Northern Premier League who've decided to run the League Cup in the first 6 weeks of the season and don't start the league until about the 25th or 20, whatever it is. So it's slightly different setup there, but everyone else will be up and running. That means that following this weekend and the home counties up and running, we've then got 32 leagues to start looking at again, Hugh.
That's it. We'll be busy.
Carnage.
How exciting.
Exactly. Thanks for your time, Teddie.
Very good. Awesome, Teddie.
Cheers, gents. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us at the Premier League Cricket Club. We'll be back soon with more from the world of Premier League and NCAA cricket. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review and follow us wherever you get your socials. Or maybe check out our website, premierleaguecricket.co.uk, to stay updated. Until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.